This deck is so much funner than I expected.
Subscribe.
Ritual of Light and Darkness has to be one of the most baffling decks to come out in recent times. The engine has to run a minimum of 5 bad draws, its ceiling going first is like 1 targeted banish with the BLS, and even if you open all RoLaD engine, you can still just get choked on the Mind Shuffle search effect. While some of the cards are very good at dismantling boards going second, the deck just shouldn't really be that good on paper thanks to all the downsides. Yet still, we see it played by some of the top competitive players, and still, we see it doing pretty well. What is happening, man? What am I missing? This was my initial assessment of the RoLaD RDA deck. The Ritual engine is really cool. Some of the cards are really strong, especially going second. You have that incredible turn 0 play with Griffo and Harmonia. Black Chaos is just insane, completely unaffected, can just non-targeting banish 2 cards off of the opponent's field. The issue is it's just too many bricks, man. It can feel kind of messy to play, figuring out your lines because, you know, you don't have all of the same bricks that you would have in a normal Red Dragon Archfiend deck. But the synergies with the engine is better than Mitsu, how you have multiple different ways to bridge into the Ritual of Light and Darkness engine. It's too many bricks to be a regional deck, probably a locals. You can't play Impulse or Spark. I want to say this is worse than RDA Mitsu. My expectations for this variant of Red Dragon Archfiend weren't very high, but sometimes straight theory just doesn't work for Yu-Gi-Oh! If you completely write off an idea based on just your personal theory, then you're an idiot, because sometimes you gotta just get down into the trenches to figure it out and realize that it actually works. So today we're gonna be diving into RoLaD RDA, taking a list to locals, figuring out what works and what doesn't, and actually seeing if I was right or wrong about the deck. So today we're doing things a little bit differently, and that is instead of building a list that we think is 100% optimal, we're just going to test everything because there's so much to experiment with when it comes to this deck. So if we try out all of the bells and whistles, even if it is suboptimal, hopefully we can figure out what works, what's completely unnecessary, and then we'll be able to optimize it moving forward from there. So we're going to run through everything that we're playing today, and then I'll talk about some of the cards as we go. Starting off, we have the 1 Dark Magician, we have the 1 BLS, we got the Skull Archfiend, the Light and Darkness Ritual, and the Mind Shuffle. These are the 5 engine requirements you need for the RoLaD half of the deck to literally function. You have to play these 5. And then on the RDA side of things, we have the Vision and the Darkness. This is the bare minimum you have to play for both of the engines to have any kind of resemblance of decent plays. However, the 2 additions I want to try out and make here is the 1 Synchron Resonator, because the RDA engine kind of lacks plays and doesn't feel as smooth when you're only running the Vision and the Darkness. If you're uninterrupted, sure, but if you get interrupted, you have to play in weird game states, and you actually want a good ceiling out of all of your starters, then Synchron becomes kind of mandatory. Instead of playing a deck that's just able to function, I want the Red Dragon Archfiend half of the deck to actually have teeth. I want our Red Dragon Archfiend engine not only to bridge into the RoLaD stuff, but also protect it with something like Zalin, and that's where Synchron kind of shines because we're able to search these with Soul or Crimson Blade Dragon, and then stick up a Zalin to make sure they go through, regardless of what hand trap our opponent may have. And then the final engine requirement I want to try out is the Magician Souls. So the Magician Souls allows any of our RoLaD starters to be full Red Dragon Archfiend combo. Of course, if you only open 1 RoLaD starter and you try to go for the entire bridge, you're going to be more vulnerable to hand traps. But in situations where you open like all RoLaD engine, a couple of bricks, and maybe 1 hand trap, the ceiling of the RoLaD stuff just isn't gonna win you the game. So having the ability to actually go full combo off any of our starters seems very, very appealing to me. And also just having that bridge means any of your RoLaD starters can actually fully extend a negated Red Dragon Archfiend starter. If you normal summon Soul or special summon Vice and that gets negated and your only other card is like a Griffo, having the bridge in the deck means you're actually still gonna be able to put up most of the full boards, which just makes all of our starters really, really potent. The only issue with all that is that here we're looking at 9 bricks, dude. After looking at all of the Azamina RoLaD lists and some of the branded RoLaD lists, all of those builds are also on like 9 bricks. So I see this as a good opportunity to see if it actually works or not. However, They're all playing the deck at 40 cards, and 9 bricks in 40 cards just sounds ridiculous to me, so I think we're going to go above 40 and try and even out our consistency a bit, although that will reduce our chances of seeing some of our strong non-engine cards and combinations like Griffo plus Harmonia. So we're going to have to find the sweet spot. It's also worth mentioning that the Magician's Souls plus the Harmonia body going second is just immediately a Crimson King. So it's not like the worst brick in the world, there's some other uses there. But yeah, those are our 9 engine requirements that we are going to be playing today. Moving on to starters, we have the 3 Power Vice Dragon and the 3 Boners. These are the best starters in the deck, especially if we're playing the Synchron, because they're able to just put up the full combo while protecting the RoLaD stuff with Zalin, which, you know, is what I want the deck to do. Then we have triple Soul and triple Crimson Gaia, as well as triple Griffo and triple Black Chaos. So that's 18 starters in total. I would play the Fallen of the White Dragon, the Walbaz stuff, but I didn't want to buy a playset just in case it does get hit on the ban list. So I'm waiting on the ban list to see how we want to move from there. Here we are just maxing out on all of the starters. And then for non-engine, we have triple Ash, triple Fua, of course, triple Harmonia. We are still playing the Bestials with the Lubellian, Magna, and Druisworm. I think these are a very, very strong inclusion in the deck, purely off the fact that Lubellian is a level 7 or higher we can have on the field, so we're able to trigger the Mind Shuffle. Say we get ashed on the Mind Shuffle, and we still have access to Lubellian, we're still going to be able to BLS on our opponent's turn. It's also just a very strong search when we open both engines. From there, we also have our 3 Imperm to back up the triple Impulse and the double Spark. Now, initially, I thought you couldn't play these in this deck because BLS is Earth. However, that doesn't really matter as much, because going first, you're able to just set these, and then the lock doesn't really matter because it doesn't apply. And going second, you just dismantle the board with Black Chaos and the Magician because, you know, they're dark. You don't have to even go through the BLS. There may be some game states where the lock does conflict, but, you know, that's what we're testing today. Honestly, I do think that you need to play some power spells to get more value out of the Magician, you know, the RoLaD half of the deck. Just looping things like Talents and Called By can be very, very strong. So that's maybe something we'll look into for next time. But yeah, this is going to be our main deck for today. 47 cards in total because we need to drown out the bricks somehow. So we've gone for 18 starters, which maintains the 92% consistency of seeing at least 1 starter in your hand. And then the 20 non-engine, which also still gives us around 70% of seeing at least 2 non-engine in our hand. So hopefully the ratios work out. I don't know how the Azamina lists are getting away with playing 9 bricks in 40 cards. Maybe you just high roll it, I guess. But 47 cards with the 9 kind of bad engine requirement draws. Getting into the extra deck, of course, we have the Red Rising, Crimson Blade to bridge, Zalin to protect our board, Crimson King, RDA, Abyss, and Dispatter for our mandatory RDA engine cards. We then have the Malong and the Packbit for our Harmonia Sands. Of course, Packbit operates under the Impulse. For the Bridge and the Magician's Souls, we have the D-Mod package with the Gravity Controller and the Cookie Yummy Way. And then our final 3 slots are the Quibelt, the Draco Berserker, and the Disturbim. I really like sequencing through the Quibelt into a board. Draco Berserker is mainly just for if we get drolled. Honestly, not really important in this build. If we were playing the Walbaz, then this would probably come up a lot more. And then Disturbim is actually very, very good. It just cleans up shop, you know, you banish your opponent's entire board with this and the RoLaD engine, and then, of course, can't be targeted, it's a big guy. That is the extra deck, and then for the side deck, I've decided to go with 3 Santa Claus and 3 Evenly, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of RoLaD at our locals, and then triple Perulia, 2 Ghost Spell, 2 Droll and Lockbird, plus a Called By and a King's Resonance for going first. And of course, we need some going first cards for siding out the Fuwalos. So we have our options of Bell or Droll, plus the Called By the Grave as well. And that is the entirety of the list that we're going to be playing. Now let's talk about some combos. Now this is also where it gets really fun and interesting because, like I said, the deck itself is very experimental. There's a lot of things we can experiment with, but even just the combos have infinite sequences and ways to kind of play out your turn, and I can't really decide which ones are optimal. Even just with the Power Vice Dragon, there's like 3 different combos you can do. For example here, we go Power Vice Effect to Special, and then Effect to Search. I'm struggling to decide whether Soul or Vision is the correct play here. Initially, I thought Soul was maybe the better play in case we get hit with a Fuwalos. We can just bridge into the RoLaD engine by searching the Griffo and playing from there. Maybe make a Synchro like Draco Berserker to give our opponent 1 draw. But then Vision isn't bad into Fuwalos either, because here you just make the Crimson Blade Dragon, which is going to search for both the Lubellion and the Crimson Gaia, which gets to Soul, which gets to Griffo. So then you have your Harmonia, your Lubellion on field, and your RoLaD set up for just a 1 draw. Soul is like marginally better into Droll because you're able to at least make a Draco Berserker, but Draco Berserker by itself is kind of just not much. So I'll quickly show you both combos with the Power Vice Dragon. I don't want to do too many combos in this video. It will all be in the spreadsheet after I figure everything out. But yeah, we'll start with the Soul Resonator line. So starting off with the Power Vice into Soul combo, this is the combo we were doing without the Synchron Resonator in the deck. So, you know, you special your Power Vice, you go Power Vice effect to search Soul, normal summon Soul, Soul effect grabs the Griffo, we then Synchro into the Crimson King effect, searches for Vision, we then fire off the Griffo to set our Mind Shuffle, activate the Mind Shuffle and its effect, searching and discarding the Skull Archfiend. Skull Archfiend effect dumps the Ritual to search for the Magician. We then activate the Ritual Engrave to add itself and the Skull Archfiend back. We then special summon the Vision and Synchro with the Crimson King into the Bestial Dispatter. Vision effect grabs the Crimson Gaia. We'll activate the Gaia and its effect to search the Darkness Resonator. We can then activate our Ritual spell, banishing Power Vice, Griffo, and Vision Resonator to special summon the Magician. Magician adds back the Ritual spell here. We then activate the effect of the Skull Archfiend to special summon itself by putting back the Crimson King, the Soul, and the Griffo. From there, we activate Darkness to special summon and effect to make itself level 1, allowing us to synchro with the Skull Archfiend into the Crimson Blade. Crimson Blade searches for Lubellion. This pattern summons back the banished Vision and synchros into the Abyss. Then we can go Lubellion effect to add Magna. Magna effect, banish anything here really, could just be the Crimson Blade, although I do like keeping the Dark Synchros in Grave for a potential Disturb him on turn 3. But yeah, that's going to summon the Magna effect to add in the end phase. We then tribute Magna for Lubellion and go to the end phase where we search our Harmonia. This was the initial combo, and my problem with that is it doesn't really protect the RoLaD stuff at all. We kind of have to rely on the Mind Shuffle resolving to actually build our board. So this is why I started looking into something like the Vision combo. The Power Vice into Vision combo allows you to play a bit more independently with each of the engines. So here we're going to special summon the Power Vice and effect is going to search for the Vision. We'll then special Vision and synchro into the Crimson Blade Dragon, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2 Vision. Is going to grab us both the Black Chaos and the Crimson Gaia. We'll then activate Crimson Gaia and its effect to fetch the Darkness Resonator. Darkness effect to special, effect for an additional normal, and then effect to make itself level 1 to synchro into the Crimson King. King effect is going to grab the Soul. We'll use our additional normal summon on our Soul here. Soul effect will fetch the Boner. We'll activate Boner, pitching the Crimson Gaia to special summon itself. Then we'll go Bone effect, target Soul, dumping the Synchron to decrease the level, allowing us to synchro into the Red Rising Dragon. Effect is going to summon back the Synchron. We can then synchro these two into our Zalin, where Synchron will trigger, adding back the Darkness. So here we've set up a Zalin before actually going into the RoLaD stuff, meaning we're essentially protected from any kind of hand trap here. So we activate the Black Chaos to place the Mind Shuffle. Mind Shuffle effect adds and discards the Skull Archfiend. Skull Archfiend effect bins the Ritual spell to add the Ritual monster. Then we activate the Ritual spell to add itself back with the Skull Archfiend. At this point, we can normal summon the Darkness and synchro with the Zalin into a Bestial Dispatter, and then fire off our Ritual spell, banishing the Zalin and say like the Power Vice Dragon to summon out the Magician. Of course, with the Magician, we can add back either of our spells here depending on what we want our follow-up to look like on the following turn. Here, for example, we'll just add the Crimson Gaia, and then we can go Dispatter effect to summon back the Zalin. So it's interesting because the ceiling of the previous combo is a little bit higher in terms of end board. You know, we have the Abyss and the Lubellion search with the Harmonia, but it all gets choked on kind of like the RoLaD stuff resolving, whereas here, we're able to set up with our Red Dragon Archfiend board to protect our RoLaD stuff, and then, you know, we get to a slightly less potent end boards, but we do have the Crimson King protection. I don't know, man, there's a lot to figure out, but with enough games and time put into the deck, I'm sure we'll get there. Now let's head to locals.
No, I'm not ready to say goodbye. Can only live one day at a time.
Dick Woofer.
Alright, getting into a little bit of locals gameplay. We have 4 rounds of Yu-Gi-Oh! Ahead of us, and we're gonna have 2 feature matches in this video. First up here, we have a match against Elf Note, and we lose the dice roll, which is like immediately a death sentence, and they start by special summoning Lucina, which we do hit with an Imperm. Obviously, that's not always correct because you can just chain the Regina to then go full combo and dodge the Imperm. I gambled that he didn't have Regina, and thankfully he didn't. He does follow up with the Welcome Home, sending Lucina to grave to summon from deck. We hit that with an Ash Blossom, and he passes turn. Elf Note doesn't really have the highest count of high quality starters, so sometimes you can just chuck your hand traps at it and it'll just die. Anyway, we start with Power Vice, searching for Vision Resonator. We special summon the Vision and synchro into our Crimson Blade Dragon to immediately diversify our line into 2 different engines. Of course, Crimson Blade grabs us the Black Chaos, and then Vision searches for the Crimson Gaia, which we do just fire off immediately, and we search for the Darkness Resonator, which probably isn't correct. I think I'm playing it as if I'm going first, but Soul might be the better option if we are going second. Because on the effect of Darkness Resonator here, we get hit with a Harmonia, which stops the Red Dragon Archfiend line in its tracks, whereas if we searched Soul, we would be able to grab something off of the Soul effect and use that to continue our plays. Definitely something to note for future, but anyway, we follow up with the Black Chaos, place Mind Shuffle adds Skull Archfiend and discard Skull Archfiend effect bins the Ritual, and we add the Magician. We activate the Graveyard effect of the Ritual spell, and our opponent chains Magnamut, banishing our Black Chaos, which is totally fine because we just add the Skull Archfiend back to hand and it's like nothing ever happened. I think if he banished the Skull Archfiend, he might be able to prevent us getting to lethal, but yeah, we activate the Ritual spell, banish a couple of guys from the graveyard to summon out our Demok. Demok then adds back the Ritual spell, and then we fire off the Ritual spell again because we hard opened the BLS. Here we use the Skull Archfiend from hand and banish the Ash from grave to bring him out, and on summon, BLS is going to banish that Welcome Home so that even if he does survive, we at least get rid of some of the follow-up. Demok then banishes the Magnamut face down. We activate the Skull Archfiend effect in graveyard, shuffling back a couple of guys as well as the Ritual spell. Then we go battle phase, BLS punches, and can then attack again with 4500, and that is lethal on board. Game 2, we're once again going second, and this time we drop a Fuwalos in the standby phase, and it does resolve. Elf Note has a couple of decent plays through Fuwa, especially now with Doom Pride, and our opponent starts by normal summoning Medius, summoning out the Patron from the deck, and then goes into the Hyper Librarian. We get 2 draws. The idea here is that the Hyper Librarian will start to equalize the draws, and then they can just build essentially their full board. But we do have hand traps, so we Ash the Peacock effect to search. He then follows up with the Regina in hand, ditching another Peacock, and on the effect to summon from deck, we hit the Regina with a Harmonia, destroying the Regina, and then Malong is going to bounce the Librarian. He summons a Tinia from deck, giving us yet another draw, and we're feeling pretty good. You know, we have a couple of extra interruptions in hand as well. There's no way he's going to be able to do anything. He sets 1 and then uses Tinia to place the Welcome Home from the deck, just for follow-up, I guess, and passes turn. Now, we start off with a Ragged Rites, which isn't in the deck list, but I remember this was a replacement for my 3rd Black Chaos because it didn't arrive on the day. We use that to search for Griffo, activate the Griffo to get the Mind Shuffle, activate the Mind Shuffle effect, of course adding and discarding the Skull Archfiend. That effect is going to bin the Ritual for cost, and then search for the Magician. Insane that we didn't draw any of these bricks after resolving Fuwalos, by the way. We must have got pretty lucky. But yeah, we activate the Ritual effect in graveyard to add itself back with the Skull Archfiend. We then just immediately fire off the Ritual spell, summoning out the Demok by banishing the Griffo, and then Demok effect to add back the Ritual spell, and then we go Demok effect to target the face down, which is a Fallen in the Virtuous, which gets chained, targeting our Demoks. He sends the Albion for cost, and we do chain the Mind Shuffle, bouncing the Demok back to hand for cost to summon out the Skull Archfiend from hand. A lot of people don't know you can do that. We can then just Ritual summon out the Demok again at a later point. We do follow up with a normal summon of Soul. Soul effect adds the Bone. We activate the Bone, tossing an Imperm from hand to special summon itself, and then we go Bone effect target Soul, which does get hit with a Harmonia. I kind of just keep forgetting that this card exists even though we're playing it and it's on our board, but yeah, he dumps the Wind Pegasus this time, summons Harmonia to the middle zone, and pops the Soul, which honestly is fine for us because we can still resolve the Bone, dumping the Vision, which is still going to grab us the Gaia, and we still have our non-tuner. On resolution of that, he activates Tinia to dance and banish a card from our hand. If he snipes the Crimson Gaia, then we're in a little bit of trouble, but honestly, it's probably fine either way. Just so that I don't have to think about it, I chain the Dominus Spark here, getting rid of the Tinia and preventing the hand drip so that we can just continue with our plays, activating the Crimson Gaia and its effect to grab the Darkness. We special summon the Darkness, and it's basically just finding lethal from this point, which shouldn't be too difficult at all. We make the Darkness level 1 to synchro into the Crimson Blade, which is going to search for the Black Chaos and put Skull Archfiend in the grave graveyard to then be able to use its effect to summon itself back. We shuffle back the Demok to summon out the Black Chaos, which banishes both of the cards on our opponent's field here, and then we just have plenty damage on field already, so we go into the battle phase, and that is game. On top of our win against Elfnote, we're also able to beat out Ethan's crazy Fiendsmith Archfiend RoLaD pile, and then we play against Calby on Branded, which we're able to take as well. RoLaD typically has a decent matchup into Branded, but then we get into our matchup against Exosister, where we win the dice roll. So what's the problem? Well, unfortunately, game 1, we just have to pass turn because we open double Fuwa, Ash, Imperm, and then like Darkness Resonator. We could combo with the Fuwa and the Darkness into Crimson Blade to grab the Black Chaos, but that loses to a single hand trap and throws away our double Fuwa play. So we throw it over to Shamim, who starts with a Pax grabbing Martha, and in response to the Martha effect, we drop our Fuwalos. He chains Called By, so we chain our second Fuwalos. We were kinda hoping both Charmies would resolve, but at least he didn't have Ash as well. So yeah, he summons out the Martha from hand and another Exosister from deck, giving us one draw, and then overlays into the Carmichael, giving us a second draw and activates its effect to set a trap during the end phase. From there, he smacks us for 2600 and then proceeds to set not one, not two, but 3 back row as well before going to the end phase and setting the Returnia on top of all of that. This is where things get interesting because our hand was already super fragile and almost unplayable. We're now having to attempt to play through like 5 interruptions potentially. We start by activating the Bestial Lubellion. Shamim chains the Exosister to try and change the effect, and we chain Imperm to negate that, searching for the Magnamut. We then activate the Magnamut, targeting the Lubellion in graveyard, and Shamim chains his Exosister Vadis to summon, I think it's 2 Exosisters from the deck. We do chain the Ash Blossom to that because that's absolutely not happening. And then he chains his Returnia to banish the Lubellion, meaning our Magnamut will not resolve. Why are we so scared of this Magnamut, man? He's just a silly little guy. Like, let him do his thing. After resolving the chaining, he has 2 sets left for us to worry about. We activate the Darkness in hand, revealing RDA to special summon itself. And then we activate its effect on summon to gain an additional normal summon for a Resonator. I then proceed to tribute summon Magnamut, which of course doesn't get its effect on normal summon, it's only if it's special summoned, and on resolution of that, Shamim pops it with Pear Bear Scare. Like, bro, come on, he's not even doing anything. Why are we so scared of him, dude? He's taking out 2 of his cards to get rid of it, and unfortunately it's really hurting us because we're desperate for a non-tuner body. The Pear Bear Scare comes to our hand, and then we use our additional normal summon on Soul. We add the Bone Archfiend. Playing into an unknown back row with the Red Dragon Archfiend line is maybe a little bit risky. We could have searched the Griffo instead of the Boner, but yeah, we special Bone by pitching Vision from hand. Vision triggers to search for the Crimson Gaia, and here is where we throw the entire game away. So on resolution, our opponent does not use their back row and we're in an open game state. The correct play here, which would win the game, is just synchroing into the Crimson Blade Dragon and searching for Black Chaos. Instead, I use the Bone effect to modulate the level of Soul, giving our opponent an additional response window to use their Dominus Spark, which they do. This unfortunately costs us the game because now we're unable to combo in any meaningful way. But I'm also not going to get too mad about it because if our opponent just uses the Spark on Summon of Bone, we would lose regardless of whether we made the optimal play or not. So yeah, passing it over to Shamim with just a defense position Power Vice Dragon, he starts by special summoning one of his Exosisters and then revealing his Spirit in hand to summon itself, which will search another copy of Martha. I don't know if Exosisters struggles to get lethal on board, but yeah, we scoop him up because this is just too much. So while game 1 was winnable, even though we just completely passed doing nothing on turn 1, game 2 is a little different. We start with our Crimson Gaia going first, we activate the effect, it gets hit with an Ash Blossom, and here we have to just set 3 and pass turn. We go from seeing 0 starters in game 1 to seeing just the 1 starter in game 2, which is, you know, rather unfortunate, but you know that feeling when you're set in 3 back row, you know exactly what's about to happen. Shamim starts with a Radiant Typhoon Vision, drawing 2, discarding another copy of Vision, and then follows up with a Lightning Storm. Yep, fair enough. Double Imperm, Impulse, see ya, hick. But Revs, why did you set the Impulse? I figured I was going to lose to a Lightning Storm anyway. If we set the Impulse, we can at least respond to a Martha with it. How there's even a chance he doesn't side them in, because, you know, on our end board, we have Demok, which protects back row, we have Soul Protection, we have Omni Negates, Lightning Storm typically doesn't do anything. But we take the L, and we finish 3-1. Whew, it's been a while since we've opened prize packs, dude, but 3-1, we came 6th place, so we just get the 2 packs today. We didn't come first, so that obviously means we have a decent chance at pulling something nice. We have Mistaken Arrest, Invoked Raijin, the Hidden City. I was hoping to pull a 7th Tachyon because that's actually money, and we have the Dragoonity Lord, George. I don't know if this is worth anything, probably not, but getting into the UTP1. Can we pull that ultimate rare Ash Blossom? Can we pull any ultimate rare? Let's see. We have the Forbidden Chalice. Wait. Oh, we have something. We have an ulti. Let's go, baby. All right, Forbidden Chalice. We have Thunderclap Monk. It's an effect monster. Oh, we got the ultimate rare D-Mock. Look at that, bro. Let's go, baby. Oh my god, we actually pulled an ulti. It's been actually not that long since I pulled an ulti. I pulled an ulti Medius, I think the week before. So we're on a roll. Let's go, dude. Not quite the Ash Blossom, but this is still a very nice pool. We got some money. Let's go. Man, pulling the D-Mock while playing the D-Mock deck is actually iconic. I definitely didn't give this variant enough credit to begin with. It's so fun to play, but there is still a lot of optimizing to be done. Key takeaways so far are that the Dominus cards are totally fine to play. I don't really like Dominus Spark as a hand trap. If I see it in my hand, I typically wish it was something else, but Impulse, absolutely play Impulse in this deck. The Bestial access with Lubellion is really nice as well, still allowing you to do some RoLaD plays even if you get stopped on your Mind Shuffle. The RoLaD engine, if you're able to get it up and running, is just insane at picking apart boards. Like, the RDA cards are a little annoying fly buzzing and distracting the opponent, and then the RoLaD cards just come and roundhouse kick them to the face. The bridge with Magician Souls is good because it makes the RoLaD engine very potent on its own. However, we did play a full tournament without using it once. So we can maybe get away with cutting this. More testing is definitely needed. There's a couple of other ideas I want to try as well, like playing some power spells that you can recur with the Magician. Pot of Sloth could actually be really strong in this deck. With enough optimization, this might actually just be the deck to get Red Dragon Archfiend some regional tops. Whew, okay, I'm going to continue playing and testing with this build. We have regionals coming up in September. That is plenty time to figure everything out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.